Hey guys, how's it going? Articulation here, and today we're looking at another action figure review. This time we're looking at the KO Mafex Batman action figure from BvS. Alright, so looking at the box is pretty similar to authentic Mafex action figure. The box has all the details you would expect on a Mafex figure, so it's pretty cool. It's got all the details. It's not that bad, but it's just a box. Like the figure inside I think is pretty terrible. I haven't seen any like reviews on YouTube, so that's why I wanted to make this video so everybody knows like what this figure is like. But yeah, the box looks authentic enough. Now that we have the action figure out of the packaging, this is what the clamshell looks like. It's basically got all the things you would expect from an authentic Batman figure, but there's a lot of tape being used. I don't know if there are any telltale signs of what this figure would look like against an authentic figure, because I don't have the authentic figure. But yeah, I mean, the accessories all look pretty well done from a glance, and the figure doesn't look too bad. I mean, I can already see some issues like paint here, stuff like that, but I mean, it looks alright. Before we take a look at the Batman action figure, let's look at all the accessories that this Batman comes with. Being a KO figure, I think it has all the accessories, so it's pretty nice. The hands look pretty decent. I've just had a quick look at them and they look not that bad. But you get two gun holding hands, or basically the grapple holding hands. You get two hands that can hold the grenade launcher. You've got two splayed open hands, two fist hands, and two hands that can hold the grenade. You also get a grenade launcher. You get the grenade, you get the grappling hook, you get a batarang, and you get the Mafex standard stand. But yeah, the stand has a lot of air holes or air bubbles in it, which just tells you that it's not authentic. Like usually if it's a authentic Mafex figure, you don't have these air holes. Alright, so first off we'll look at the grenade launcher. The grenade launcher looks pretty good because there's good sculpting going on. There's a little bit of a curvature here. The sculpting is good because this is lifted straight off of Mafex, so obviously it will look good. It's based on an authentic figure, but there is no paint to it, so it looks kind of dull. It's just like a black piece of plastic that's shaped to look like a gun. Looking at the grapple, this is painted a little bit better. When I say that, basically there is some paints to it. The handle should be like a wood texture. It is not. It's just a brown color paint. Everything else is black with some silver highlights to some accents, but it doesn't look that bad. It looks alright, and there is a lot of details, but again, that's details because it's sculpt that's ripped straight from Mafex. The batarang looks pretty cool. It looks accurate to what we've seen in the movie. There's a paint scuff here because of KO, I guess, but yeah, the paint is accurate to what we've seen in the movie, and the batarang is accurate to what we've seen in the movie. So the hand grenade is also just a black piece of plastic shaped to look like a grenade. It's lifted straight off of Mafex, so there's good sculpting there, but it's basically not that detailed. There's no paint, there's nothing to it. If you're just looking at this out of context, you'll probably not know what it is unless you really look closely. In terms of the hands, let's look at the grapple holding hands first. They are pretty detailed. Again, the sculpt is detailed because it's lifted straight off of Mafex, but there's a lot of details going on. There's a lot of good textures to the top. There's like a bit of sculpting to signify that there is wrinkles and stuff like that. The knuckles are painted a different color, so that's pretty cool. And the grapnel should fit in there pretty well. And it does. And the grapnel should, yeah, fit in there pretty well, and it works as it's supposed to. Next up, we've got hands that will hold on to the grenade launcher. They are detailed as well, but look at the right one. The right one the fingers look thicker than the one on the left. So I assume that that's a error when they're copying the sculpt. But this also holds the grenade launcher perfectly. He's got two splayed open hands, which look like that, and basically adds to the posability of the figure. But yeah, nothing apart from, it's just basic hand sculpt with the knuckles painted. You get two fist hands, as every Batman would need to punch his enemies, but they're just fist hands with the knuckles. Finally, I believe that these are cape holding hands because you get this lip that you can put the wire into, and then basically hold on to the cape. But these are just fists with a lifted thumb so that you can put a cape in there. Alright, so now let's look at the action figure himself, and I can see problems straight away. I had a really hard time getting the action figure to stand, which is why he is in a weird pose. The left leg is a bit shorter than the right, and it's a little bit curved in as well. So I'll go through that a little bit here, but basically the legs are not that stable. If you look here, the legs are a little bit bent in, which adds to the problems. The sculpt details is absolutely amazing, but that's because you're looking at a Mafex sculpt that's copied over. There are issues with the proportions of the body. Like, yeah, there's basically no wings, or what do you call it, the lat muscles. I don't know what they're called, but there are basically no muscles here, which detracts from the figure. He just looks really, I don't know, like very skinny, but with abs. Like the chest is way too narrow. The joints do not seem secure. You can see like things that should not be visible, and I think that arm's about to pop off as well. It's staying in, so I'll leave it as is. But yeah, there's a lot of problems with this figure. Like the neck is too thick, but I think it's because the body is so thin. The neck looks overly thick. You cannot, I don't know, you can see a little bit of Ben Affleck there, but it's not the best sculpt. I mean, the head sculpt does look accurate to the movie, but being a KO, you've probably lost some details. And then again, being painted that horribly, you've lost more details. So that's why it looks like that. There is a weird bunch of like white, lighter paint on the figure. I don't know how that got there. The joints don't look sturdy. The elbows look really weak. Like you could possibly break them really quickly, really easily, but it does articulate. We'll get into that a little bit later. Yeah, but there's major proportion issues on this figure, and I'm just not feeling it, I guess. So in terms of articulation, Batman can look up about that much, look down about that much, and the neck came off. But the peg looks pretty sturdy. That's gray inside there, so we get to see that as well. The peg looks alright. Pop him back in. Yeah, the head has decent articulation. The shoulders can go up that much. Wow, that's nothing. That's barely getting anything done. The other shoulder is the same. Bicep swivel works good on both biceps. Double jointed elbows work alright. It's running into each other a little bit, but I don't know if it's because it's a copied action figure, or basically that looks like the range. So that's what he can do. The wrist pegs are so thin. I am like literally worried just looking at it. It's like a really small wrist peg. And yeah, I mean, it doesn't allow for that much motion either. So I'm not sure why we've done that. It just basically looks like he's got a like huge gap here. If it was me, I would make the wrist peg a little bit bigger, so it's more proportional to the gloves and the gauntlet, but it is what it is. The abs, oh, there's a good crunch to it, and it can go back a fair amount, but there's a gapping obviously because I've pushed it too far back. And the top doesn't move side to side that much. There's a little bit of tilt, and if you basically rotate it, it works, but it doesn't move side to side because the lip or the overhang is basically running into the sculpt. The abs or the lower ab section can get you a little bit extra crunch, so you're basically looking directly at the floor if you do that, and you can go back up pretty much really well as well, which is really good. You can get in really dynamic poses if you want. Waist can rotate as well, which is good, but there's a little bit of a clickiness. It's not a clickiness, it's basically just too tight, so there's a little bit of noise there. There is drop hinges. That's cool. There's a drop hinge. You can kick up that much, so you'll probably be kicking someone's shin. You can go out about that much, which is not that good, and I've got it in a weird angle, so it's basically that if you really don't like, that's the best split Batman can do. There is swivel at the top of the thighs, which is not that much. Double joint in the knees, which is alright, I guess. There is a ankle joint, which is a ball joint here. It can rotate, it can go up and down, not that much because of the way it is so small, and it's basically hindered by both the top and the bottom, and the ankle cannot do that much. It can swivel around, and then there's like a little bit of a tilt either way, but it's not the best. And there is toe articulation as well, which is a little bit stuck on mine, but that's the best it can do. I don't want to push it further than that. It feels like it's gonna break, but yeah, it looks like it's consistent with both, so that's the best the toes can do. And last but not least, cape is wired, and it's a pretty sturdy wire, so you can pose them around. So in terms of DCEU Ben Affleck Batman comparisons for this guy, the Mafex in the middle is, I guess, on par in terms of height. On the right, we've got the Mezco BvS Batman action figure, which I think is the best 6-inch Batman action figure to date. And that looks much more proportionate, much more, I guess, better in every sense of the word. On the left, we've got the authentic Mafex armored Batman, and the armored Batman looks a little bit shorter than this KO Batman. I don't know why that is, but it's probably because of the really abnormal proportions this KO Batman has. But I think the armored Batman doesn't look that bad, and given the amount of posability it has, I think it's a good trade-off. It is a little bit on the skinnier side, but it still works. Next up, we've got some KO comparisons. On the left, we've got the KO Justice League Superman. The Superman is shorter than Batman, and the proportions are horrible as well, but I think posed up the Superman does not look terrible. I mean, it's alright, it's got some redeeming qualities, but similar to Batman, the waist is so small, the trunks look weird, there's a whole bunch of proportion issues, but posed it still looks alright. On the right, we've got the Mezco Batman. I just tend to call them Mezcos. I think I've added like a mix max body underneath, so the Batman is a little bit bulkier, or the suit is filled in a little bit better. But yeah, basically the Mezco Batman with a mix max body, which is an upgrade, and I think the Mezco figures look better than the Mafex KO figures here. So next up, we've got the KO Batman next to some DC Multiverse figures and Marvel Legend figures. On the extreme left, we've got the Mortal Kombat Joker figure from McFarlane. Next to him, we've got the Hercules body Crossbones with basically the Crossbones head, which is a bigger Marvel Legends figure. Next to Batman on the right, we've got the Black Suit Superman from Todd McFarlane, which is a 7-inch action figure, so it's a lot bigger than Batman. And on the extreme right, we've got the Marvel Legends 6-inch Thanos figure, which is a lot bigger, but I just wanted to end this comparison here. In conclusion, I do not think that this Batman is worth your hard-earned money. The proportions are really janky. It's not like the best action figure. There's so many issues with the feet not being straight, or the joints being too flimsy, too loose. The wrist pegs are not that secure, so I'm really afraid of, because they're so small, I'm really afraid of breaking it. It does pose alright. I guess it doesn't look that bad when it's posed up, but I still wouldn't recommend buying this action figure. You have the Mezco figures, which are a lot better, definitely allows for some posability, and has, I guess, a better proportion. There's just more you can do with the Mezco figures. This figure cost me, I think, about $15 to $20 shipped Australian, which still I don't think is worth it. Like, it's not a good figure, so I wouldn't spend money on it. So as always, thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. My next video is hopefully going to be the Bane action figure. I'm really close to getting that done. There are just a few parts I need to print, and the prototype is done, and I'll release the action figure for everyone to be able to download and print. So that's not that far away. I'm thinking of going for a cheaper price point this time as well, because this is my second figure. There was a lot of less, I guess, innovation in this figure, so it was easier for me to do. So hopefully you'll be able to get this figure, you'll be able to try it out at a cheaper price, and yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.